Are you making your life better or worse? Everything you do has an impact on your life. Whether that's the little everyday choices to the big choices. The big choices are in some ways more clear, what to do for a profession, where to go to school, where to live. Those have pretty clear effects on your life and aren't an everyday choice, right? You can change where you live if you wanted to on a daily basis, but there are other factors that go into consideration of that than just you, potentially, right? You'd have to find a new place to live, possibly find new roommates, move your spouse and children if you have them, that sort of thing. But the everyday decisions are stuff you can make, and in my opinion are in many ways more important than the big decisions because you do them every day, so they have far more of an effect on your life than those big decisions might. Right? What you eat every day is going to have an effect on your mental state, on your health, on your appearance. If you eat fast food every day, you might do okay for a while if you're young, if you have a good metabolism, if you don't eat too heavily in each of those meals and maybe keep it only to one meal, you might do all right. But if you eat it 3 meals a day every day, eventually that will catch up to you. I think even if you ate it every day for one meal for a long enough period of time, that too would catch up to you. But if you, say, swapped one of those meals to something healthier, or even swapped the choices you're picking at that fast food, you might have a much better long-term outcome. Maybe not noticeable in the day-to-day, but over months or even years, I think your outcome would be far better. What you do, what you eat, what you wear, all those things matter on the daily basis. So are you making your life better or worse with those decisions? Right? If you buy a bag of chips and eat the whole bag in one sitting, that's not going to be super healthy, clearly. But if you do that at most once a month, well, the impact on your daily life might not be very high or even noticeable. But is that choice still making your life better? And likewise, if you do it every day, I think we can all pretty much agree that that would be making your life worse. Maybe only on a marginal level, 0.01% worse, but that's still worse. Whereas if you choose to not do it, maybe your life would only get better. Maybe your life wouldn't actively get better, right? It wouldn't be 0.01% better or 0.1% better, but it wouldn't be 0.1% worse. So that might be one way to look at some of those decisions. Because time doesn't stand still. Your life really only has two modes. It's getting better or it's getting worse. Are you doing things to improve it or are you doing things to make it worse? Because as you stagnate in terms of your personal life, you're still aging. The things that would be acceptable failings in a 20-year-old are much less acceptable when you're 40 or even 30. A lack of social skills at 20 these days, with having the COVID lockdowns a few years ago and all that sort of things, you might be able to get away with it a little longer. Maybe not. You see things online that say, oh, Gen Z is hard to work with. I suspect Gen Alpha will be the same, but if you look back, you saw the same thing with millennials and I'm sure Gen Xers and going back, tell the boomers. But if you have that same lack of social skills at 30 that you did at 20, you haven't improved. And because you're now 10 years older, you have a lot more work to do to catch up. It is a lot less acceptable at 30 than it is at 20. Right? If you're young, there's an allowance made because of your youth. If you're older, those same failings are not as tolerated, if tolerated at all. Likewise for health, if you're young, you can eat fast food every day. You can eat it 3 meals a day and probably be all right. If you have a good metabolism, if you're working out, you're probably doing all right. But that stuff adds up and will weigh on your future self. There's possibly long-term health implications. And if your metabolism stops, or slows down, I should say, if your metabolism slows down and you're still eating that way, you're going to pack on the pounds really quickly. You're not getting good sleep on top of that all of a sudden because you have a new job and it's stressful and you're not sleeping well and you're still eating like that. That's going to wear way more on you than it might have otherwise, as life circumstances change. And that's going to affect your physical appearance, which is going to affect how other people perceive you, whether you like that or not. That's how it is. Same with how you dress. If you wear cheap, ill-fitting clothing, that's going to display a certain image to other people. Even if you wear cheap, nice-fitting clothing, that's going to display a different image. As long as the clothes don't look cheap, and they don't look poorly made, they don't look ill-fitting, poor materials, then you can get away with cheaper clothes. You don't have to go buy a $10,000 shirt or suit just to look nice, right? That's not actually a requirement. But your clothes should fit you relatively well. That's a lot easier if you're, well-built, more muscular, not even, bodybuilder-esque, just not fat is what I'm getting at. It's harder for clothes to fit well when you're carrying a ton of extra fat on you because it's more voluminous than muscle. And it doesn't look as good. Well, does that mean if you are fat that you won't get ahead in life, that will stop you from getting opportunities? Most likely not. It's just going to make some opportunities a little harder to get, I think, because you don't have the appearance to get through them, right? And how you dress will affect that too. How you style yourself. If you have really long hair, well, in certain areas that'll be a hindrance, and in other areas that might be a benefit. Face tattoos are a pretty clear one. If you have face tattoos, you're most likely not going to become a teller at the bank because that's not the image the bank wants to display to their customers. Same for hand tattoos. That's probably not a benefit there. So, all those little decisions add up. I've met lots of people who treat tattoos as if they're just something fun to get, which is fine. It's their life. That's what you can do. But the consequences of that decision are not something many of them have really thought about. And that can be fine if it's in a easily covered location. You're not going to run into problems at jobs. Most likely. It'd be very unlikely. But, it's that mentality of, I can just do this. It's fun. It's not going to have an effect. That seems to cause people problems later in life in that they're not where they could have been had they made better small decisions earlier in life, right? You don't want to wake up at 30 and find out you have diabetes because you ate poorly, or that you didn't get a promotion or several promotions because you weren't the right fit for the job in a nebulous sense, non-provable sense, just that you weren't what they were looking for. And so you have to look at those little decisions you make every day and say, is this making my life better or is it making it worse? Right? Just because you bought a bag of candy and ate it doesn't mean it's going to ruin your life, but it is going to imperceptibly make your life a little worse. If you leave things till tomorrow, right? Well, it's going to make tomorrow a little worse, and then it's going to continue on and on and on, and it's eventually going to put you in a spot where change your trajectory in life, where you won't land as high as you could have. You won't land in the spot maybe you wanted to because you didn't do the little things that would have helped propel you there. Or maybe you did all the big things correct, but you didn't get the job. And there could be things outside of your control for that. But as those things are outside of your control, you can't do anything about them, right? You have to do things you have to work on the things that are inside your control. Make your life a little better today, even if it's a little more work, then so that tomorrow you can do something else that makes the next day even better. And you repeat and repeat, and eventually you wind up in a really good place. And a lot of things are foundational skills, right? If you're young, pick up a skill now, because maybe you don't sell anything with it. Like if writing, let's say, or making videos. That's one of the reasons I started doing these, is because I wanted to learn this skill. And I wanted to make some of these videos and put these things out there in case they help somebody else. But I know, I have a lot of room to improve on it, but I've started now. So hopefully in a few years, I'm way better than I am now. If I'm the same quality in a few years, not accounting for quality of equipment, but in terms of how I speak on these, how well I can convey my ideas and thoughts, if I'm the same, I'll be pretty disappointed in myself because it means I didn't put in any of the effort to get better. And that's why I look at a lot of these things, right? Your health is, set a goal. Like you want to lose 10 pounds, give yourself a deadline and see if you meet it. And if you don't meet it, see why you failed. If it's clothing, start looking into, okay, who do you admire? Are they in the same field you want to go into? That's if you're working in your professional life, that's one thing to look at, but also in your personal life. Like, who do you look at and go, that guy looks good. That girl looks good. I like what she was wearing. I like what he's wearing. And model yourself after them. You don't have to buy all the stuff all at once. And it may turn out that, well, you think those clothing look good. Maybe it doesn't match your body type, or maybe you don't feel comfortable in them. And then if you don't feel comfortable in them, that's well, wear it a bit more and see if you do feel comfortable in it. Or if it turns out you don't feel comfortable in it at all, then find something else. But you have to consciously make those choices. And in many ways, with the proliferation of, there's so much fast food, there's so much junk food out there's so much cheap clothing that doesn't really fit well. There's all these little things that you have to be really intentional about. Not all the time, but if you set up the habits that make those things easier to do, right? You don't buy junk food, for instance. When you go to the store, you only shop what's on your list. You don't buy chips. You don't buy candy, cake, donuts, whatever. You only buy what's on the list, and those don't wind up on your list. Well, then you're making it easier for yourself at home, right? When I used to have soda, I used to drink a lot of soda, and I stopped drinking it because I stopped buying it. So it's not even a question of, oh, let me go grab one. It's not even an option. And when I eat out, I tend to get water these days, mainly because most places will charge you like $2 to $3 for, a soft drink or an iced tea or something. And I don't want to pay that because it's kind of silly. I can just drink water because in the US, at least, that's free. But also because after so long without soda, the only time now I drink soda is on a plane. And that's just because I've seen too many things about how they don't wash their coffee pots. So I don't want to get that. And you only get like a half cup of water when they give you water. So you get a soda, you get a bit more liquid. And I find I prefer that on planes. But if you don't have them in your house, you're not around those things, you're not going to be likely to do them. It's a lot more effort to do them. So you're setting yourself up for success. So that's really, the main thing is set yourself up for success. Do the little things today that will make tomorrow better, so that maybe tomorrow you do one of the bigger things, or you can do something else that will make the next day even better, and so on, and eventually you'll wind up in a really good place, I think. I think if you do that, it'd be very difficult for you to fail. If you actually apply yourself to making your life even 0.01% better today, and you do that every day, you'll wind up in a good place. It may not be the $10 billion success or even $10 million success, but I think you'll be a lot happier and a lot better off than if you didn't do those things. So that's all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave me a comment down below on your thoughts on this, and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. New videos every Wednesday.